The message arrived at midnight, sharp and sudden, cutting through the silence of Daniel's apartment. He was half asleep on the couch, the TV still on, the volume low. His phone buzzed once. That was all it took. One vibration changed everything. He opened the message without thinking, expecting nothing important. Instead, his eyes locked onto words that made his chest tighten. The company is officially under my name now. It was the only way to save it. You were never around when it mattered. Daniel sat up slowly. His heart didn't race. It stopped, then restarted wrong. He read the message again, slower this time, hoping the meaning would change. It didn't. Amir, his closest friend and business partner, had done what Daniel never imagined possible. He had taken the company, not argued for it, not fought openly, taken it quietly, legally, and completely. Daniel stood and walked to the window. City lights outside looked distant and unreal, like a backdrop to someone else's life. 10 years ago, he and Amir had stood on a rooftop just like this one, dreaming out loud. They had nothing then, no money, no connections, just an idea and trust. They promised each other that whatever happened, they would face it together. That promise echoed in Daniel's head now, hollow and useless. He scrolled through the message thread. There were attachments, contracts, official papers. His name was missing where it should have been. Amir's signature appeared again and again, clean and confident. Everything was done while Daniel was away, spending weeks in hospitals with his mother, listening to machines beep and doctors speak in careful tones. Daniel felt something twist inside him. Not anger, not yet. It was disbelief mixed with shame. He wondered how he hadn't seen it coming. Amir had always been sharper with numbers, faster with decisions. Daniel handled people, ideas, the long view. Together, they balanced each other. Or so he thought. He sank back onto the couch as memories rushed in. Late nights in the office, cheap food eaten over spreadsheets, laughing at mistakes because they couldn't afford fear. Amir had once said, if one of us falls, the other carries both. Daniel believed that with his whole heart. Now he understood. The truth. Amir didn't carry him. He stepped over him. The next morning came too fast. Daniel hadn't slept. His eyes burned as sunlight filled the room. He showered, dressed, and moved on instinct, like his body knew what to do even if his mind didn't. He went to the office. The place still smelled the same. Coffee, paper, stress, but something was different. People avoided his eyes. Conversations stopped when he walked past. That was when the second betrayal hit. Everyone knew, in the conference room, Amir stood at the head of the table. Calm and professional. Spoke about strategy, growth, the future. No one questioned him. No one defended Daniel. When their eyes met, Amir didn't look away. He nodded just once, as if acknowledging a difficult but necessary step. Daniel said nothing. Words felt dangerous. If he spoke, something ugly might come out, something he could never take back. He sat through the meeting in silence, listening to a future that no longer included him. Afterward, Amir followed him into the hallway. "We need to talk," he said. Daniel stopped, but didn't turn around. "I didn't do this to hurt you," Amir continued. "You weren't here. Decisions had to be made." The company was slipping. Daniel finally faced him. "You could have waited." Amir shook his head. "Waiting would have destroyed everything we built." "Everything you built," Daniel thought. "Not we." He left without another word. Back in his apartment, Daniel began to understand the full damage. Without the company, his savings were thin. His identity felt stripped. The thing he had poured his energy into for a decade was gone, taken by the person he trusted most. That loss dug deeper than money ever could. As hours passed, shock faded, and something else took its place. Slow, steady pressure behind his eyes. Thoughts began to line up, sharp and clear. Amir thought he was justified. Amir believed this was survival, not betrayal. That belief made Daniel's hands curl into fists. Justified betrayal. was still betrayal. He opened his laptop and started reading. Old emails, early agreements, messages filled with confidence and shared goals. He wasn't searching for comfort. He was searching for truth, and slowly he found cracks. Small details Amir must have missed. Conversations that hinted at bad faith. Promises written, not spoken. Daniel felt a shift inside himself. He wasn't helpless. He wasn't powerless. Amir had been careful, but not perfect. That realization changed everything. The days that followed blurred together. Daniel moved fast, fueled by focus. He met with a lawyer, quietly. Asked questions, learned his options. Each answer fed the growing fire inside him. There was a path forward. Not an easy one, not a clean one, but a possible one. Still, doubt followed him like a shadow. Late at night, when the city slept, Daniel sat alone with his thoughts. Revenge sounded powerful in theory. In practice, it felt heavy. He imagined Amir's face if everything collapsed, the company ruined, his reputation destroyed. The satisfaction was sharp but brief, like a spark that died as soon as it appeared. Was that what he wanted? Then he remembered the meeting room, the silence, the way everyone accepted the lie because it was easier. The way Amir looked at him, calm and certain, as if Daniel was already part of the past. That memory burned away the doubt. This wasn't about anger. It was about balance. Amir had taken something without asking, without warning. He had rewritten the story to make himself the hero. Daniel refused to disappear quietly from that story, across the city. Amir sat in his new office, staring at the same skyline Daniel had watched the night before. He told himself the same story again and again. The company needed leadership. Daniel had changed. Family issues made him weak. This was business, not personal. But when the office grew quiet, that story cracked. He remembered Daniel's trust, his loyalty, the look in his eyes during the meeting. Not rage, not pleading, just understanding. That look unsettled him more than anger ever could. Amir poured himself drink he didn't need and stared at his reflection in the glass. He wondered how long his justification would protect him. He wondered what Daniel was doing now, planning, healing, or something worse. Back in his apartment, Daniel closed his laptop and leaned back. The plan was not complete, but the direction was clear. The betrayal had changed him. Not into something reckless, but into something awake. He felt the weight of what lay ahead, the choices he would have to make, the line he might cross, for the first time since the message arrived. Daniel allowed himself a small, cold smile. The quiet part of him whispered a truth he could no longer ignore. Betrayal had started this, and it would not end quietly. Daniel stopped sleeping well. Nights became short and broken, filled with half-dreams and sharp thoughts. The betrayal followed him everywhere, not as noise, but as pressure. It sat in his chest when he woke up and followed him through the day. He did not waste time mourning. He moved forward fast and focused. Because standing still felt like losing again. Each morning, he reviewed documents, emails, and files he had saved over the years. He searched for patterns, missing steps, and quiet changes Amir had made before. The takeover, which worked from cafes, libraries, and empty offices, never staying in one place too long. The world moved around him, but Daniel stayed locked on his goal. Every small detail mattered. Every word could become proof. As the evidence grew, so did the weight. Revenge no longer felt like an idea. It felt like a responsibility. Amir had rewritten the truth, and Daniel felt driven to correct it. Yet with every step closer, doubt returned. He remembered laughter, shared meals, long talks about the future. Those memories did not stop him, but they slowed him. They asked a question he could not easily answer. When did justice turn into punishment? Amir, meanwhile, settled into his role. From the outside, he looked confident. He gave interviews, shook hands, spoke about vision and leadership. People praised his bold choices. The company's value began to rise, just enough to confirm his belief that he had done the right thing. Success became his shield. It allowed him to silence the voice inside that warned him this victory was built on a broken promise. Still, signs of tension appeared. Amir checked his phone too often. He avoided places Daniel used to love. At night, when praise faded, doubt crept in. He told himself Daniel would move on. That betrayal was a strong word for a hard choice. That belief kept him steady, but only on the surface. Daniel met with people who once stood beside both of them. Some listened, some refused. Fear made many silent. Others admitted they had suspected something was wrong, but said nothing because the outcome favored Amir. Hearing this hurt more than he expected. The betrayal was not alone. It was shared by quiet approval. The pressure began to change Daniel. He grew sharper, quieter, more distant. Friends noticed but did not push. He avoided long talks and quick comfort. This was not a wound that healed with kindness. It demanded action. Yet every action carried a cost. His lawyer warned him about timing, exposure, and consequences. Winning could still leave scars. One evening, Daniel sat alone with the evidence spread across his table. The plan was clear now. A legal strike, clean and final. It would reveal everything. Amir would lose trust, power, and the image he worked so hard to build. Daniel imagined the moment. The relief, silence after the storm. But another thought followed. What would remain after that silence? He imagined life without the fight. Without watching Amir's fall. Would he feel free or empty? The question stayed with him longer than he wanted. Revenge promised control, but not peace. That truth began to press harder than anger. Across town, Amir felt the shift before he could explain it. Meetings felt heavier. Compliments sounded forced. He sensed eyes watching him more closely. The confidence he wore started to feel like armor instead of skin. He wondered if Daniel was behind it, pulling threads quietly. The idea made his stomach tighten. Amir reached out once. Short message. Neutral. Safe. Daniel read it and did not reply. Silence spoke louder than anger ever could. It told Amir that whatever was coming would not be negotiated. Days passed. Daniel prepared for the final move. Each step required precision. One mistake could turn him from victim into aggressor. That line frightened him. He did not want to become the thing he hated. Yet backing away now felt like surrender. And surrender felt like erasing himself. He walked through the city one night, letting the noise clear his head. He watched strangers pass, each carrying private battles. None of them knew his story. None of them cared. That realization grounded him. Revenge would not change the world. It would only change him. Back home, Daniel stood at the edge of the decision. The evidence was ready. The outcome predictable. What remained unknown was the cost to his own soul. He thought of his mother, her quiet strength, the way she faced loss without bitterness. He wondered what she would say if she knew what he was planning. Amir sat alone in his office long after midnight, staring at numbers that refused to calm him. He thought about Daniel again, about trust and shortcuts, about the moment he chose, himself over loyalty. For the first time, he admitted the truth he had buried. He had not acted only out of need. He had acted out of fear. Fear of being second. Fear of waiting. Fear of losing control. That fear had built everything he now stood. Daniel closed his laptop and took a slow breath. The conflict inside him reached its peak. Revenge was no longer about Amir alone. It was about who Daniel would become after the choice was made. He understood now that either path would leave a mark. There was no clean ending, only different kinds of scars. The night grew quiet. The city lights flickered like distant signals. Somewhere between anger and clarity, Daniel prepared to face the final moment. Not as a victim, not as a villain, but as a man forced to choose what justice meant to him. The meeting was set for early morning, the kind of hour when decisions feel heavier because there is no place to hide. Daniel arrived first. He chose a quiet room with glass walls and neutral light. Nothing dramatic, no stage. It's just truth waiting to be spoken. His phone rested on the table, screen dark, holding everything he needed to end this dot. When Amir walked in, he looked tired but composed. Suit was sharp, his smile practiced. He spoke easily, as if this were another routine talk about numbers and growth. Daniel listened without interrupting. Each word felt distant, like it belonged to a different life. He studied Amir's face, searching for regret, fear, anything real. He saw only control as Amir talked about expansion and strategy. Daniel's mind raced. He saw the email ready to send, the evidence lined up, the chain reaction it would cause. One move and the balance would shift forever. The thought did not thrill him. It steadied him. Power, he realized, was quiet. Daniel raised his hand. Amir stopped. The room felt smaller. Daniel spoke calmly. He laid out the facts in short, clear sentences. Dates, documents, promises broken. He did not accuse, he did not shout. He simply told the story Amir had tried to erase. With each detail, Amir's posture changed. The smile faded. Air grew thick. Amir tried to respond, but Daniel continued. He explained that everything was documented, verified, and ready. He explained that exposure would not be loud or messy. It would be clean and complete. The company would survive. Amir's image would not. Silence filled the room. For the first time, Amir looked afraid. Not of losing money, but of being seen. He defended himself quietly now. He said he acted under pressure. That he believed Daniel had checked out. That someone had to take control. His words were careful, almost reasonable, but they sounded empty. Daniel listened. He felt no satisfaction, only clarity. He picked up his phone. Amir's eyes followed the movement. The moment stretched. This was it, the edge of the cliff. Daniel could end it now and walk away knowing he had struck back. No one would blame him. Many would applaud. Instead, Daniel placed the phone face down. He told Amir the truth. He said revenge was easy. Healing was not. He said he would not destroy him today. Not because Amir deserved mercy, but because Daniel refused to let this moment define the rest of his life. The evidence would remain untouched. Waiting, Amir would live, knowing that one mistake, one lie, one slip could bring everything down. That was the price. Amir tried to speak, but Daniel stood. The meeting was over. No handshake, no closure. Daniel walked out, his heart pounding, his legs unsteady, but his mind clear. Outside, the city moved, like always. Cars passed. People hurried by. The world had not paused for his choice, and that felt right. He breathed deeply, as if he had been holding his breath for weeks. The days that followed were strange. Daniel expected regret or doubt to flood in, but instead there was quiet. Not peace exactly, but space. He slept better. He stopped checking his phone every minute. The need to watch Amir fall began to fade, replaced by a need to rebuild. Amir, on the other hand, unraveled slowly. He returned to work, but the confidence was gone. Every meeting felt like a test. Every question sounded like a threat. He watched Daniel's absence closely, waiting for consequences that did not come. The silence punished him more than exposure ever could. He began to see the truth clearly. He had won control but lost trust. He had justified betrayal, but justification did not erase guilt. Success tasted thin now, stripped of pride. Weeks later, Daniel started again, smaller, slower. He worked with people who valued openness, who asked questions instead of hiding answers. He carried the lesson with him, not as bitterness, but as caution. Trust was still possible, but it had to be earned. One evening, Daniel passed the old office building. he did not stop. He did not look back. The chapter was closed, not with fire, but with restraint. Revenge had stood before him, offering a sharp, bright ending. He had chosen a quieter one. It did not erase the pain, but it stopped it from spreading. Daniel understood now that revenge promises strength, but often steals. Freedom walking away had cost him satisfaction, but it gave him something better. His future was finally his own.